Hey YouTubers! Well, I got another video review for you today. So, I don't really know how to pronounce the name of this company. CHGAOY. CHGAOY? I don't know if this inverter's any good or not. I've not tested it, but they can do one hell of a job at wrapping. I mean, literally, when I got this thing in the mail, it was in another box, and this was the box inside of it. Let me show you. Look at this. I mean, I know it's not important to some of you, but I can guarantee you if you order this inverter, it will not come to your house damaged. Like literally, they built a frame out of cardboard for this to go in, and it's thick. I mean, it's like an inch thick of cardboard in the top. Look at that, guys. Look how thick that is all the way around. And all the foam in it. That's the best packaged inverter I've seen. Whenever I opened it up, I was like, wow, that looks really nice. But we'll see how it performs. So let me get it unboxed. Stay tuned. And I gotta say, man, the fit and finish on this thing is really nice. The finish on this is like a really nice gloss paint job. You can see right here, it's got a display right in there. It is a steel housing. I'll double check it with a magnet. But yep, the case on the front and sides and back is all steel. So this one here is 3,000 watts and it is 12 volt. I just wanted to give you a little run around of it. Guess we'll start on this side here. You can see that you've got your 3 AC outlets right in here. Now at first glance I noticed they're really kind of close together. You know, I wish they would have probably only put 2 here, but you know, if you don't have enough room, you can always do like what I do is I just run like a surge protector or a power strip. You know, just make sure it's heavy enough to carry the load that you're wanting to power whatever you're running. Also, you've got this little area here, so if you want to hardwire this in, then you can. And then you've got a spot right here for like a plug-in remote. Now, they must offer some sort of remote that would work with this, but the remote that was sent to me is this one here, and it is a wireless remote. And that's one thing that I've not seen from any other company, from an inverter that I've personally tested. This one here has like an internal battery in it. That's pretty cool, not to have to put a wire in there and run a wire, you know. Now it gives you a little USB to micro USB charging cable, so you can power this up. I don't know how long it'll last, but you know, it should last a pretty good while. There's not much draw off of this, so they give you the remote. They give you a little sticky pad to mount it to, and then they give you 850 amp bladed fuses. So there's some extras if you want to blow some. You just pull the top off this, replace the fuses, you should be good to go. And they give you some cables, and just like every Chinese manufacturer that gives you cables with inverters, I don't even know why they do it. These suck. These are 4 gauge. These are not big enough to handle a 3,000 watt load safe. So if you're planning on running this thing anywhere near 3,000 watts, just don't use these cables, guys. Personally, I like using New Concepts. That's the cable of choice. I use these in all my builds. This is a 1/0, and the reason I use these is there's 5,145 strands of oxygen-free copper, and you know, the jacket is very flexible. You can bend these. You know, if you use a good quality wire, it produces less heat, and you know, it keeps that inverter nice and cool because there's less resistance. That power can flow from the battery into these inverters, and if you're running like a lithium battery, guys, them things, they can pull a lot of power. That's a lot of resistance sometimes if you got just a little cheap wire on there, and it's going to build up a lot of heat. So do yourself a favor, just get you some good quality wires, whether it's New Concepts or some of the other brands. But I mean, like I said, this is the one I prefer because they've always done me right, and you know, they're good quality wire. Now, as far as the lugs on the end of them, I buy the ones from Amazon. These are the Cell Term brand. I buy them in bulk because it's a lot cheaper. And these are pure copper, and these things are really thick, and so you're not gonna have them break apart and crack on you like some of those cheap thin wall copper lugs. So anyways, before I get off on my rant about the larger wire, I was telling you that it comes with these crappy wires. Don't use those. And then it comes with a wrench. It's got a 10 millimeter on one side and an 8 millimeter, and it says right here SJ tool. So looks like a pretty decent quality wrench. I And it's not a Craftsman. It's better than having one of those sheet metal wrenches that hurt your hand. This is an actual wrench. So thanks for sending that out. I wish they'd have just kept the wrench though and put some bigger wires in there. It is what it is. As far as the manual goes, you can see that first page and the back page is in color, and it's actually looks like it's pretty decent, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a look here. You can see that this one's got the toggle switch. You know, some of these have a button, but I prefer the toggle switch. And then you've got a green light and a red light. And that red light, it says fault, and the green light says power. And then right above the toggle switch and the lights, right in the middle there, is a USB port. So we'll test it out as well. You know, you've got a bunch of vents right here on the end. And I gotta say, this thing is heavy. It's pretty dang heavy, guys. I'll get a weight on it here in just a minute, but I wanted to show you the back. You can see you've got a spot for your 2 fans, and I love how they labeled that fan. It's a fan, one on each side. All right, so you got these little caps here on over the terminals, and I gotta say they got a little latch on the bottom of them. It's like a little lip that they catch on. Man, you know, they're on there pretty good. You heard them when they come off. Quite a bit of tension on them things, but they feel like they're pretty thick plastic. Feel like they're pretty decent. I always like pulling on these because sometimes I've gotten them where they're wobbly, and that I don't like that at all. I went ahead and pulled the nut, the flat washer, and the lock washer like it's supposed to be off of the terminal there, and I'm going to go ahead and check it. I've got a nut and bolt checker from ManRam. If you're interested in this, check out in my description down below. This thing really does come in handy, but you can check it right here, and this is a M6 by 1.0. Truthfully, I wish they had went up to at least an M8, just simply because that's what your battery connection is. Usually is an M8, so you know, I'd like to see all the inverter companies, you know, anything like a 2,000 watt and up, I'd like to see them go to that M8. That way you don't have a bunch of different size connectors on there. Plus it's a little bit thicker, and you know, that way it seems like to me that, you know, it would be a lot stronger and be able to get more power. Anyways, off my soapbox, that's just one thing that I would like to see. And again, if you're interested in the ManRam gauge, I'll put it in the description. Now, one of my favorite features on this case is whenever you flip it upside down, you can see that it's got like a little leg, a little drop leg in there. And the reason that's helpful, and I recommend every inverter company, I wish they would do this, you know, I just think that it's smart. When you got that little drop leg right there, it gives you a little bit of room to, you know, help get some airflow in there to keep things nice and cool. And I just really like that. And you can see that it's probably a good, roughly a ½ inch of airflow. And let's say you wanted to make your own risers, you know, if you mount it on, you know, a piece of wood or something. That's what I did on some of the ones that I've built, is just use wood strips to mount this on, to raise it up even higher. When it comes to mounting it, they got a lot of different mounting locations. You've got 6. There's one there, there, and there, and then the same on each side. And so you're going to need it because this thing is pretty freaking heavy. I'm not going to lie. It is heavy, guys. This thing weighs 13.7 pounds. So this inverter measures 17.5 wide, or long, should I say, 9 1/4 wide. It's right at 4 inches tall. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and quit running my mouth, get this thing hooked up, and put it to the test. I mean, literally, we're going to do a load test on it, and we're going to check the USB port. We're going to check, see if it's pure sine wave, so stay tuned. So we went ahead and hooked the New Concepts wires up to the 2 batteries. We've got 2 200 amp hour batteries here. And keep in mind, when you go to hook these up to this inverter, make sure you use a ceramic resistor. So that way you can charge those capacitors without getting a spark whenever you connect the 2 wires. So make sure you definitely do that step. I'll put these down in the description down below if you want to use these. These things really do work good. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. The wires that they give you with this inverter are a 4 gauge, and these are only good for a max, a very, very max of 1500 watts. I would get some better quality wires. I wouldn't even use these at all unless you're just running very, very low wattage things. But if you plan on maxing this thing out to 3,000 watts and you use these, you're an idiot. Sorry. I don't even know why the company sends these. It kind of pisses me off that, you know, this is a 3,000 watt inverter and they only send wires that will work with a 1,500 watt inverter. And they know damn well what they're doing. They're trying to save some money, but, you know, I get it, but I hate to see somebody burn their house down over just some wires. So, all right, so I've got a clamp meter on here and I'm seeing about 9.5 to 10.5 watts standby power. So that's not too bad for a 3,000 watt inverter. That's pretty low. So next we're going to be testing, you know, the pure sine wave. And so I went ahead and got an alligator clip on the other side and I'm going to probe it right in here. And you can see right there, it's a distortion free pure sine wave. Looks really good. Except when I move it and mess it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, nice pure sine wave. And there's no distortion. It looks really good. Look over here on the watt meter. You can see there's your voltage. It says 118.9. And that's right about where it needs to be. And then right there it says 60 hertz. So that's good too. So we're going to go ahead and do a load test on this thing and see if we can get it up there close to that 3,000 watt mark and try not to burn the house down in the process. So, all right, so I'm going to show you guys what trouble we have to go through to make a video. I mean, it's already like 80 degrees outside today. We got an air conditioner running in there off of solar, and then we got the central heat and air running as well, and it's just running on the grid. But anyways, it's hot. And so we've got 2 space heaters hooked up. I've got a hair dryer right here. And, you know, in this room, it gets to cooking because of all the lights and all this stuff. So make sure you give us a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because, you know, we have to go through a lot of stuff to make these videos. It's just not, you know, we don't work for anybody. People don't pay us to do this. You know, we're Amazon affiliates, so if we get a little bit of money from, you know, the sale of an inverter, fine. But, you know, literally, I test it and I don't recommend it if it's not something worth having. If it's junk, I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy it. So, anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. And so I've got a lot of stuff here on the table, and I'm going to go ahead and run you through it the way that I've got it set up. So I've got 2 different watt meters, and this one's just jumped into the jumper because there's not enough room to plug it in right in here. So I've got it plugged in right here to this power outlet, and then you can see there's already something plugged into it. If you follow that cord up, it goes right to this space heater right here. Now this cord here has got, you know, it's got a little splitter on it, and the reason I did that is because between these 2 heaters doesn't equal up to 3,000 watts, then I can always plug something in the side and it will still show you the accurate wattage here on the watt meter. So this here is plugged in to the other space heater on this side. And like I said, we've got a box fan here, and then I've got this hair dryer here. If I need to plug in something else, I've got it here close by where I don't have to run, look for it, because literally when we make these videos, it gets so hot in this room, we want to make them as fast as we can because it's unbearable. But if you come a little closer, I'll show you right here on the screen. You'll notice right here that on the watt meter that it says 119.3 at 60 hertz. If you go over here, it says 120 volts. So that's pretty close. And then you can see right there it says 60 hertz. Right there, it should kick on. There it goes. There you go, guys. 700 watts, 800 watts, 9,042, 1,090, 12, 13, 1392, 14, 1432. Yep, that was as high as it got. 1432. That was the highest that I've seen that it reached. But I'm going to go ahead, and while that one's running, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the other one. And they're both going to be on high. So you can see right there, that one's on high, and you can read it. Well, I don't know if you guys can read it or not, but it shows 922, 998, 1032. Let's see if it'll. I set it on the wrong function there. Let me reset it. I went past it again. When you're trying to do something, it never works out. There you go. 1422 on the space heater on one side and 1208 on the other side. So right there, we're about, I'd say about 2,500 watts, 2,600 watts, somewhere in there. So we're going to go ahead and kick it up. I guess I'm gonna plug in that hair dryer. We're gonna see. In fact, we probably need to put the splitter on this side since it's a lower number. All right, guys, so we did the math here. It's 1350 and 1225, which is what? 2575. So we're about 425 watts away from it. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this thing on low and see just how many watts it is. So we're gonna go ahead and kick it on now. So now we're at 1339, 1340, and 1318. So 1343 and 1318. That's still not 3,000 watts. That's 2658. So we need to go up quite a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on low heat. And there we go, guys. There's 1532. And 1264. That's still about 2,800 watts. So we need about 200 more watts. It'll probably shut down if I put this thing on high because that's going to be way too much, but we can try it. We'll see if it'll go above. But guys, if it won't, I'm sorry. It's too hot in here. If it's going to go up to this high, we should be able to get close to 3,000 watts. That's close enough for me. But we're going to go ahead and see what happens when we push this thing on high. It shut down. All right. Oh, it turned back on. All right. What happened was it turned the heaters off and turned the fan back on. But it shut them down. That's a good sign. That's something that you want. You don't want to go above that, you know, if you can. I mean, that's a good sign that it had too much on it and it shut itself down. So that is a safety precaution. So the fan did finally kick on. It's not hot at all. I mean, it's warm. The cables are a little warm, but yeah, definitely not hot. So one thing I wanted to point out is the reason it cut off is because it went above that 3,000 watt mark. In fact, we've got a function here on these watt meters. You click the function button and it'll tell you what was the highest and the lowest. And this thing went up to 1,822 plus this over here, and it was like 3,089 watts total is what it peaked out at. So no wonder it shut off. It peaked out higher than that 3,000 rated watts. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, ain't this thing have like a surge rating higher than the 3,000 watts? Yes, it did, but it's only for just a split second. All this stuff was still running, so I guess that, it's only going to go for just a few seconds and then it's going to shut itself down. And that's what it did. It actually was supposed to shut itself down at 3,000 watts. Now, some inverters will go a little past that, and a lot of guys will be like, well, that's what it was supposed to do, is go past that, but I like having that safety built in. I would rather it cut off a little bit early than go too far past that and exceed what the inverter can do and melt down wires and things like that. So you can look at it a couple different ways, but we're going to go ahead and fire it back up for just another minute. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and see what I can get up to again. So that one should kick on any second. There it goes. We're at 1481, 1457. So now it's stabilizing out. We're going to go ahead and kick this one on high. You can see right there, 700. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on just the fan. So 1372, 1349. That's about 2721. And we need about just under 300 more watts. So I'm going to turn this on low heat, not just low fan, low heat. Now we're at 15. 47 and 1279. And that puts us at what? 28, 26. So we need about 174 more watts. So that's gonna shut down again. So we're only 174 watts away, guys, from being at that 3,000 watt mark. So that's not far. But I know it's gonna shut down when I put it on high because that's way too much. But watch what happens. I don't know how well you guys can see that or not, but that alarm light keeps going off right there. It'll probably reset itself. I'll give it another second and see if it'll reset itself. If not, you can turn it off and then reset it. But the fan's going, and believe it or not, it's still just like warm to the touch. It don't seem like it's gonna turn off. Let me reset it. There goes the hairdryer. Alright, so we were about 175 watts away of reaching the 3,000 watt goal, and I'm not gonna sit here and plug this in and that in to try to get so close to 3,000 watts. Literally, it got within, you know, pretty reasonable distance of that 3,000 watts, so I'm just gonna call it what it is. But anyways, we're going to use the thermal camera next, and I'm going to test it out, check the temperature of the cables and all that, and see if the inverter is hot, and let you guys know what temperature it is. It takes it a minute to boot up, so bear with me. So right here, it shows about 80.4 degrees here in the very front. In the middle, 85.1. In the back, 91.9, and then right here at the negative terminal it shows 111 degrees, and the positive terminal is at 117. So it, you know, it's warm right there on the actual metal terminal itself, but it's not like super hot like you would normally see. But like right here, it shows 81.5 degrees, 79 degrees. I mean, it's, guys, I mean, I can literally grab a hold of these wires and they're just lukewarm, you know, and so it does seem like it's a pretty well built inverter. Now the fans, you can tell they're ramping down. The fans wasn't really loud. I don't know, you might want to bring the camera over here and see if you can see what they sound like. You can see it's really quiet. Really quiet. Now, one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on, and let's compare the readings on the screen right there. It says 1208, 1345, 14, 15, and yep, there on the front of the screen it says 16, 17. It's about 50 watts off at its peak. It says 1575, and it's 1481. So truthfully, I think the screen is off. You know, a lot of these are off on a lot of them, but you know, you can look at the voltage. We can check the voltage right here. It says 116.4, and it says 117 on there, so that's pretty close. All right, so I like the fact that the fans, you know, are not loud in this thing, and you can hear them. They've wound completely down now that it's cooled off, and there's hardly any noise, just a little bit of a whisper from the fan. So I like that feature. Some of these inverters are really loud and annoying because the fans are really whining and they spin really fast. And you know, this one didn't start getting really noisy till you put the full load on it. But even at then, it kept it nice and cool. So I'm good with that. So I got to say, this inverter worked really well. It is pure sine wave. It is 12 volt. Everything seemed to work really good on it. All right, so we are going to check the USB now. And you can see right there, it was able to power up our VT powered light bulbs. These use 5 watts a piece, and we've got them hooked to a splitter where we can run both the bulbs off of just one USB outlet. So that seems to work well. The wireless remote. Now they give you this little piece of sticky film where it's sticky on both sides, and you just mount it on the back of there and you can put it anywhere you want. Then you've got a micro USB and a regular USB to micro USB charging cable. So I guess you just use a phone charger and then you plug it in right there on the side and charge this up. It's got a little internal battery, and then here on the front it's got reset, power switching, on and off. And let's turn it off. I guess I have to set it to the off position. Oh, there it goes. It turned it back on. The display here on the top. All right, so you can see right there the wireless remote control display is the same as the display on the power inverter itself, and you can just hit the button and it'll just come back on, and I reset it, and you can see right there 13.7 volts and 119 volts output, and then 60 hertz, and then there's 0 power because there's nothing plugged in right now. And then, you know, this does go off, you know, after a few seconds, and then you can just touch the button and it lights back up again. So I do like this. I think that's pretty handy. Now, obviously, you don't want to recess mount this in anything, or you will have to take the screws out of it just to be able to get to the side where you would have to charge it, because, I mean, there's not a lot of room right in there to be able to plug that in. So yeah, make sure wherever you mount this, just make sure you can get over there to get this plugged in and see where the heck you're plugging it into, because that's going to be a booger to try to get that plugged in if you mount it up on something. So truthfully, I would probably just take and put a piece of Velcro on here. That way you can pull it on and off to plug it in and charge it. Just my 2 cents. All right, guys. So we were like 175 watts away from hitting the 3,000 watt mark. We were close, and it's hot enough in here. So, you know, please don't beat us up and say, oh, you guys didn't get to the 3,000 watt mark. We got pretty close. And anyways, I appreciate you guys watching, and we're going to wrap this video up. And so anyways, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you're interested in the VT powered light bulbs, if you're interested in the new concepts, the cell term lugs, the inverter, you know, any of this stuff that you see here, the thermal camera. I'll put a link for all of it down in the description. And I don't, like I said, I don't recommend something to you unless it's something I use, and I use, you know, all the time, or it's something that I've tested and I can prove that it's of good quality. So anyways, very happy with this. I like everything but the name. It is hard to pronounce, but other than that, it was boxed well, it performed well, and it looks like it's going to be a nice inverter, and I can't wait to see what more this company has to offer. Till next time, guys. See ya.